Hello everybody! This is Some Random Neko, waking up from my nap to greet the world for the day. And by greet, I mean... Cause Wuwa's main story quest is finally back on track, with amazing characters and peak storytelling, though there are still a few glaring flaws that make me nervous for future patches. But before I get into it, a quick disclaimer. This is purely an opinion piece with no heavy research or deep dive involved in its making. Everything's coming from my memory and Google searches for double-checking purposes, so if I get something wrong, please feel free to correct me as politely and civilly as possible in the comment section down below. The main story quest for 3.1 was amazing, because we finally got a main story quest that felt like a main story quest and not a character quest masquerading as a main story quest. The overall execution of Act 3 also greatly reminded me of Act 4 from 2.2. Though while 2.2 was more holy shit epic emotional, 3.1 was oh my god tearjerker emotional, because there was a better connection between Rover and Imith than there was between Rover and Cardathea, which made the impact of Imith's choices hit much harder. Plus, there were actual consequences that stuck this time instead of being immediately brushed aside by hand-wavy Sentinel magic. We also got so much lore regarding Rover and the Sentinel's origins that I'm still shook about, cause now I can't stop thinking about what exactly the Sentinels are supposed to be, why were they and Rover sent to Solaris 3, what exactly is the goal of Rover's homeland, and so much more. Then the segue dumped a bunch of lore regarding the Grand Architect that has me eager to learn more about their origins and what exactly their goal is. And lore dumps aside, I appreciate how Rover finally acknowledged the effects their voluntary amnesia has on the people they once knew, which was something that was a long time coming. Though I wish there was a Frolova mention considering everything that happened with her. And even though I didn't pull for her, I love Imith as a character, and how her story was tied to the main story quest without turning it into a glorified character quest. But I honestly wouldn't have minded a sudden lore dump about her, because at least her lore is relevant to the plot, as opposed to Linnea's, which wasn't. I'm also happy that we finally got a female banner character whose relationship with Rover isn't meant to be romantic or flirty, but familial instead, which I believe gave her journey more weight and emotional impact. And I absolutely love everything about Luke and how he's the supportive friend to Rover as if to pay back all the help Rover seemed to give him in the past. And we even learn about his past organically like we do with Mornier, but unlike Mornier where we only got a few vague and irrelevant broad strokes, Luke's reveal was more detailed and relevant to the plot. Unfortunately, the main story quest is not as great as it could be, and that's because of the still ongoing issue with pacing. Act 3 was a slog to sit through, even though it technically wasn't that long, because it felt like we had no time to breathe before the next story beat was suddenly happening. And while I appreciate the lore dump we got, it was too big of a lore dump that I'm surprised my computer didn't explode from information overload, and it really should have been spread out a bit more. I'm also worried about how the main story quest is going to develop after this, cause I don't know if it was just me, but Act 3 felt like we were already entering the endgame instead of finishing the setup for the conflict. And after the post-emotional high clarity hit, I couldn't help but worry about how the main story quest will be divided over the next few patches, and exactly how many patches are planned for the High Roy. Like, are the developers going to make version 3 like version 1 and route the story up as soon as possible? Which would help with pacing, but would also feel like a letdown after the long saga of version 2. Or are they going to do what they did in version 2 where they abruptly threw us into a new region, and then backtrack to take care of loose ends before continuing on, which just ruined the pacing of the overall story? Also, the previous banner characters for the High Roy were forgotten again, and only Chisa got a brief mention that didn't really count considering the context of the conversation. Like, would it kill the developers to at least put the characters somewhere on the map so we can see them even if we can't interact with them? Or have them text us once in a while just so we know what they're up to while we're busy saving the world? Or have them involved in on-story events, not just as options to choose from, but as actual interactions? Though I suppose there was some progress with the Lolo event, which had some of them and a few old banner characters appear, and also had Lumi, a 4-star character, be our way in instead of some random NPC we'll never see or hear from again. So hooray for baby steps, I guess. And once again, I'd like to know what the heck a segue is supposed to be. First it was an overture about Augusta's rise to power, Then it was Choyun's POV of how he got Fenrico's lantern while giving parts of his backstory. Then it was low-key a date with Chisa that ended with foreshadowing for Lahai Roy. And now it's an interlude that felt more like an act considering how relevant its contents were to the main story quest and world lore. None of these segues have much in common except maybe being a substitute for a character quest, but even that's a bit of a stretch. I really hope the developers figure out what exactly a segue is supposed to be and stick with it, because I have no idea what they're trying to do with these interludes anymore, and it's really starting to bother me. But criticisms aside, 3.1 is a vast improvement from previous patches, and I'm still hopeful that my grievances will eventually be addressed in one way or another. And even if they're not, I'm still super excited to see where the story goes, and look forward to the future patches for Lahai Roy, however many that will be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Reminder that this is just my opinion and not a heavily researched senior thesis, so if there's anything wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comment section down below in a polite and civilized manner. Also, if there was something from the 3.1 main story quest that I didn't cover or you just wanted to talk about, you can do that in the comment section as well. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment if there's anything Wuwa related you'd like me to talk about next. This is Sunrano Neko, going off to do my dailies now. Don't forget to keep calm, just meow, and may your polls be blessed.